It's 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It's LinkedIn Live, Hour of Empower. The word of the day is happy. So blessed and honored to have Beverly Glazer back with us again. And Beverly's just a wealth of experience, knowledge, and the ability to communicate that easily to others. So, with that said, chat's open. We depend on you for direction, and we want to make this as valuable and as relevant as possible. And before we get right into comments, I'll introduce Beverly, and she can give us a little update and what her initial thoughts on and insights on happy.
Terrific. Um, Donald, that's a great word because aren't we all seeking that, right? We're all looking to be happy. We don't wake up every morning to say, oh, I want a miserable day. And when the sun shines or things are going well for us, hey, we're happy. And what is happiness anyway? What is that all about? Are we ever really happy? I don't know about you, Donald, but I have a great big smile on my face. So one can assume that I'm happy, but am I really happy, right? And that's what we do. We go along all the time. We're out there, and what people say to you, how are you, right? So how are you? I'm fine. I'm right? Is anybody going to say, oh, I'm miserable? Do you know I'm going through all kinds of stuff right now? Blah, 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 blah. You might, but do people really want to hear it? No. And that's the thing, okay? So the more you start talking about it also, and if somebody isn't really getting in there and understanding how you feel, et cetera, and that also, by the way, isn't 100% good because you could start wallowing. But what happens also is, you become even more miserable. And as the saying goes, happiness is an inside job. It really is. It comes from us. It doesn't come from money. It doesn't come from the world around you. It doesn't. It comes from our feelings. And we turn that happy hormone up. We turn that up. No one else can turn that up. So either you're happy, you're not happy, whatever you are, right? The bottom line is, what can I tell you? It's up to you. It's all up to you. And you know what? I think I may be having a problem with my audio, Don,
No, no, your
because
audio just got better just now. It seems to
my
be,
audio got better.
yeah. I mean,
That's
you're clear now. Oh,
okay, because that's totally weird. Okay. Because on my end, I thought it wiggled. So, hey, guess what? I'm not happy about
but now
that.
now it's fading out again.
It does. I don't get that.
Yeah, could you
Okay,
disconnect
because
that
I'm
mic?
right here. I can't disconnect the mic.
Oh,
It's like, okay, if I disconnect the mic, what happens if I do? Hold on, hold on. I'm afraid you're going to lose me completely.
oh, no problem. Let me take over, and you
Take
can
over. I'm going to
keep
disconnect the
working.
mic completely and we'll see what happens. So we love technology. I'm going to
Okay,
keep a
well,
happy face though. I'll be bouncing right back.
I'll just do what you have to, but no stress. So
Okay,
I'll
see you
take
in a minute.
I'll take
Okay, see
this
you in a minute.
opportunity to introduce the people. Thank you very much. Carrie's here. Good to have you. Carrie's always good for a joke and a happy comment. The comedian opened up with some sardines. They say his joke was kind of fishy. Not a problem. Uh, Makes sense in a way. Uh, have a new gentleman here with a new name. Great to have you. Always welcome. Carrie comes back with, oh yeah, we just went through that. Again, Debbie's here. Great to see you, Debbie. Thank you so much. Elizabeth is just one of the best LinkedIn connections out there. I would advocate visiting her profile and connecting if there's some alignment. I mean, one of the benefits of the show is networking, is connecting, and being able to do more together. Collaboration is such a key on LinkedIn. Okay, Debbie talks about, oh, here's Kelly. Great to see you, Kelly. Always a great day when Kelly's here. Want to pump up Kelly's show, The Awesome Journey, that's coming on at 1:11 p.m. today. And Harvey Tuck has his show at 10:15. And finish up, Carrie saying hello to Elizabeth and Carrie saying hello to Debbie. So really quick, I'll bring Beverly back on. Hopefully, Beverly, can you say something?
Yeah, can you hear me?
No, not good.
Oh my gosh.
Now it's good. It's funny how it cuts in and out. Say something.
That's totally bizarre. You don't hear me at all? Because I pulled out the mic.
No, I can hear you, but it's a little muffled.
What about this? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, right there I could hear you.
Okay, I just blasted the mic in the camera. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's better. I think we can hear much better.
Okay.
So let me just finish up with Debbie, my happy bumper sticker. Do more of what makes you happy. So true. And Debbie's one of the happiest people we have on the show. She really just exudes enthusiasm and excitement, which is really, really important. So when I think of happy, naturally you think of mood, you think of situation. You might be entertaining or being entertained. You may be with other happy people. Happy people seem to make other people happy and happier. And that's why you have birthday parties and anniversary parties and celebration parties in order to practice your happiness. And then I think happy moves into happiness based on a contentment with your level of happy, right? If it's something that's consistent, something that you can almost plan on being based on who you're with, where you're with, and really a lot of times it's what you're doing. And I then think happy then falls or connects with satisfied, right? When you're easily satisfied, it's easier to be happy. It's hard to be happy under stress,
I
but
was going to pick up on that, absolutely. When we are happy, things are going okay. You have your needs met, you're comfortable, you have food in your tummy, you're not feeling anxiety, you're not feeling stressed. Life is good. And guess what, though? If it's too good for a while, we start complicating that. And we start looking for more. And this is where we can become unhappy. We can become unhappy.
yeah, Micah's a little off again. Oh,
darn.
Yeah, we try so hard.
Now it's not even the mic, because this is my laptop.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you're just coming in and out. So there's a point where it works, and then there's a point where it fades.
Okay. But and you don't hear me.
I can hear you, but you lose some of your words.
What should we do, Donald? What should we do? Maybe the audience will know.
Now it's perfect. So what you just said.
I'm staying right here, okay, and I will not move. Okay?
No, it's not so perfect. I'm sorry. This is really a test.
Laughing. Okay.
Well, let me. You're not 100% bad, but let me pick it up again, and we'll come back to you, and hopefully it gets better. But Elizabeth comes back with good little nuggets in and out.
Thank you.
Okay, Elizabeth then comes up. Stay right where you are. Yeah, we were so close. Good. Okay, and I think this show and the ability to share, and even the experience today is how do we support each other? How do we collaborate and have fun and be happy just for being together, right?
Yeah.
So when you can take judgment out and you can start looking at really what the group brings, what the event brings, what the venue brings to making you
Yeah.
happy, and can you really have a recipe for happiness?
Can anybody hear me?
You
Because
can hear a
I,
little bit, but
a little bit.
no,
Oh my.
right where you are is good.
Okay. Well. Okay.
Don't move.
It doesn't seem to matter. Okay. It doesn't seem to matter. This is not my day. Well, yes, it is. What the heck? You have to go with the flow, right? And that is the key. We have to keep pivoting. We're not happy when things do not go our way. But what is our way, right? It's the way we want it to be. And life doesn't go like that. It goes up and down. So if you don't move with what's happening to you, you will not be happy. And one way to go right back into happiness is to be grateful. And gratitude makes you happy for everything, even the bad stuff. And that can be really hard to find. So when we're not happy, a quick switch really is what am I grateful for now?
Yeah,
You guys
Beverly,
can
it's
hear
it,
me.
it, 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 it's fading out, but I did hear a lot of it, and what I did really pick up is the gratitude side, uh, and again, the ability to count your blessings in a sense to make you have an easier bar to reach happiness and be happy. And I think the other element is how are you helping other people be happy? And in turn, is that something that makes you happy to live vicariously through other people's initiatives, successes? Uh, and, that's always a challenge because it's easier to get let down, right? Because life comes at you and maybe you were doing great and all of a sudden you get hit by a curveball. And then how do you get back and maintain a happy, at least, attitude? Your attitude does not have to be directly aligned with your circumstances. There's some people who
It's
are never happy. They're
it's
never satisfied, no matter what it is. They're always, if this would have been. I mean, I know there's kids come home from school with a B plus, and it's like, why didn't you get an A? Right? I mean, and it's like it's never good enough. And if it is, it's good enough for a fleeting moment.
yeah,
And
it's
that's not encouraging to other people's happiness. It takes a special person to relate to somebody in a moment of despair and find something kind or supportive to uh, share with that person versus what's the normal behavior is somebody lost and you try to figure out how they could have won. So maybe next time they will, and maybe that's with good intentions. But to the person who just lost, it'd be nice to say, well, you played great at your position. It's a team sport. I mean, however it is, changing perspective, changing someone's reality in a sense to make it more aligned with, okay, it is what it is. How do you get back on your feet? How do you keep going? Let me see the audience. Uh,
Dawn,
After Joanna's here, we need to find and create ways to
right.
be happy. Maria's here. Uh, One can be happy but not satisfied, and that's what so true. I'm always happy, but I'm always looking to get happier. I'm always looking to enjoy more. And, I think enjoyment and happiness is a habit. And when you don't have it, you tend to create it if you're used to it. And the same thing could be could be said for being sad is, if people get in that habit, it's self perpetuating to a point. And not only is it, oh, okay, great. And not only, so Beverly's going to try and join us coming back. We're going to give it our best. So, uh, I think that's so key is who's hurting who when you're not at a happy place and a happy time. And, you construct your day, you construct your interactions with certain people. And, I've always said people are like elevator buttons. Some take you up and some take you down. And who do you want to be with? And actually, who do you reach out for? To the people who are happier, always finding a silver lining to something, and you could be that person while you're waiting for that person. And all of a sudden, you'll probably be in a better position to attract that person. Yeah, for sure, Maria. Debbie says, keeping a gratitude journal is the easiest way to document and initiate happy. Yeah, because it gives you an accounting. You know, it shows you something that you intended. And then the next day, if you didn't make it today, and I don't know what making it with happy is, uh, you focus a little bit more on that. You find, will I find joy with today? Well, here we go. Let's hope. Hey, Beverly, did you do anything different?
What I did was I signed right out. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you great. If we can keep this
Okay.
going, we're cool.
Oh, okay. I signed out. We signed back in again. And it probably is a different link. And let's do this and let's get happy, as the
Okay,
song
well,
by Pharrell said.
I'll let you keep talking while you're talking. Great. So happy. Uh, Looks like there's so many ways one can interpret it, and also different ways one can arrive at it.
Yeah, yeah. There's many ways of arriving, but what I'm looking at primarily is that inside job thing, right? It comes from us. And as you know, and as you said, that whatever happens in your life, it depends on how you're interpreting it.
Hmm.
And that matters so much because you can have two people and they can see one thing one way, and then you can have the other person that looks at really the downside and their whole life is collapsing, et cetera, et cetera. And those are the people also that really suffers. Donald, you're nodding. Does that mean my
You're doing great. You're
okay,
perfect.
great, because this isn't working anymore. This is great, which is my mic above me. Okay. So this is great. I'm gonna just keep this little laptop
Yeah,
going.
keep
So,
talking. I can wait
yeah.
till the end of the show.
Oh, okay. No, you may not want that because I can talk for the whole hour. We will shut that down. Okay. So the bottom line really is we have these neuroconnectors in our heads that make us literally happy or not. And so it is an inside job, and we have thousands of thoughts if you think about it, if you think about it, and they're going through your mind all the time. So when you start thinking these negative thoughts, then, and I'm going to give an example of that because I didn't set my alarm this morning. And I hear people saying, oh my gosh, that's going to ruin my entire day, you know?
Hmm.
And my immediate reaction was, oh well, it's going to ruin a lot of stuff, but I'm not going to let that happen. And the point is, with what I teach, I do. I really do walk that talk. And what I do is every morning I get grounded, no matter what.
And I get grounded with meditation. For me, I've been doing that for years. And just take that 20 minutes for me. Okay. Now remember, I was running late. Okay. And I just said, oh, okay. But if I just continue like with my thoughts that said, I have to do this, I have to do that, I would go crazy. And so what I did was I continued my meditation. I continued, believe it or not, my yoga, because that just sort of grounds me. And then I move on. Okay. Yes, I was an hour behind myself. And not only that, I put in a new webcam. Aha, stupid moi. And then I said, this is not smart, Beverly. You have to go on Donald's show, right? And guess what? My webcam was working wonderfully. But because we're not connected really on Streamline, with it didn't work. It was great for Zoom and I've used it before and it was wonderful. Okay, where am I going with this? The bottom line is it was not going to ruin my day. As a matter of fact, neither is this technology glitch. It is not going to ruin my day. Hopefully, it doesn't ruin yours. Okay. Because you did check in an hour to listen. But what I'm trying to teach here is it really doesn't matter. It matters in your interpretation with yourself. And what are you going to get upset about? And this is why, because LinkedIn is about work, the workplace should work for you too. You should feel good when you go to work. You should have an environment that works for you. And that's whether you work at home as well. Whatever it is, your life should be running according to what you want to make it, not, what life wants to make it for you. And if you're running on that thread, you will not be happy. So it comes from within. What do I want from me? Donald.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, and I think it was worth waiting for. So, so thank you for having that clarity and projection. And what I'm starting to appreciate is when you're doing things in a relaxed, informal way, then all of the chips are pretty small because it's just a comfortable get together and conversation. Now, when someone's event is the make all, do all, be all, been planning 6 months and something doesn't work, then that's a lot more dramatic because you can't come back tomorrow or yesterday being here and having history. So, what I tend to look at is not what happens, but what do I learn from what happens from everything I do? Because if you just look at the event, I mean, there's going to be times you slip and fall. There's going to be times you drop something on the ground, you know. The other day I dropped an egg on the floor, you know, and it took me a while to figure out how I did that. Really quickly, I just opened up that plastic thing, and I must have opened up pretty fast, and one just popped up and fell. It kind of went into orbit and then came down. I never touched it. But it would just, I couldn't understand it until I kind of put two and two together. So if you look at life's journey as a way of reflecting on feedback from yourself and your environment,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you start building in uh, options. You start build, if all your eggs are in one basket, you're gambling with all you got. Hopefully, it's not all the time. But that's
Right.
when people can get unhappy, is when they don't have a second chance, when they just lost their stake. And now they got to figure how to even get back to where normal was. And, happy is can be a regular state too. Some people look at it like it's one in a million, or it has to be a big 25-year event or a 50-year event, or someone's got to
Yeah.
do something
Yeah.
stupendous. And it's finding happiness in the basic, in the simple, in the easy, because you'll find it more often,
Yeah.
right?
And sometimes, if I can interject, sometimes
your perception of what you want in life changes. And you wonder what it's all about. And that's the thing, when I'm thinking of happiness, I was thinking of someone that I was interviewing just yesterday. And this is about a podcast. And she was in New York at the time of 9/11, on top of her game, working at Vogue magazine. And if you're in advertising and fashion, that would be the prime job to have on Fifth Avenue. And when she was walking to work, she looked up because all these people were looking up, and she was just thinking, hey, this is more tourists in New York. But she happened to look up and she saw one plane, and then she saw the other plane, and she saw the Twin Towers just crumbling down and the dust coming all around her. And at that moment, where she was on top of the world, living the life in Manhattan, everything changed for her and said, you know what? What is life all about? And am I really happy? And what she did from that moment is she quit her job. And she originally came from California, went back to California, and is now coaching and working with other people and spreading her knowledge rather than being in that rat race. So we also have to come to terms with what our own happiness is about. And at different stages in our lives, that changes. And so we have to really know what we want. And basically, it's to be loved, to be happy, to be comfortable, to, of course, have enough money in the bank to sustain ourselves, whatever it is. The bottom line is you have to choose your own happiness. And she's just a perfect example of this is my choice. And it was my choice to get that number one job. It really was. That didn't make her happy, though, truly happy. Was just on that path. Up to
Well,
you, Don.
yeah, I think with that, one has to again reflect when they decided something was important that would make them very happy, and they actually achieved that and arrived there, and it didn't make them happy. And they continue to choose destinations that they thought would make them happy, and it didn't. After a while, it's your aim and not your process, right? People can arrive at places if they know where it is and how it is you can get there. But is it the right choice? It's that saying, people are climbing the right ladder against the wrong wall, right? And once you get there, now you're back positioning your ladder to the new wall. And I think that's again where you get around people who have climbed different walls with different ladders and achieved the opposite effect, which is it was supremely happy. And maybe at that point, you don't need a ladder, you just need a chair, right? Just to sit in it, enjoy it, right? Because, you know, how many events will there be that you've really gotten to the peak, not the plateau, and now you're going to have to climb down to maybe climb another peak. So what do you want to take with you from that last climb? Mostly pictures, and the pictures are usually with your arms around people, right? Like
Yes,
we move
yes,
in, 6, 7 of us, and let's take a picture of us, have on vacation, or let's take a picture of our retreat. And it's the
yes.
smiles. And what the beauty of that much happiness is you can take a picture out or a tape and look at
Mm-hmm.
it and relive it and be with those
Mm-hmm.
people again. So, just like some people are looking for residual income, do something today and get paid tomorrow, there's residual happiness, right? Do
Yes,
something today, be happy, and every time you look back, you smile or grin or chuckle, maybe
yes,
momentarily, but you did go back momentarily, and maybe that breaks up the worry, the stress. I mean, there was someone who cured themselves of some incurable disease by just watching I Love Lucy for like 3 days straight. And that's all they did is they got a cabin or something away from everybody and just watched these old sitcoms and use humor to get their mind off of their issue. And just, the mind is so powerful and
Yeah,
so
you said it. Yeah, you said it. When they say laughter is the best medicine, okay, it really truly is. Those endorphins that we send out, they're like, they are happy hormones. They really are. They're really happy neuroconnectors. Laughter is one of them. By the way, dark chocolate is another for you chocolate lovers. It sends those neuroconnectors up there. It sends the dopamine, the serotonin, makes you feel good. Now, by the way, this isn't my remedy to cure cancer or anything like that. Just laugh. I don't think so. But to bring in the funny. And what happens also, and they have studies that people are more positive, do better. And I'm thinking right now of my mother-in-law, who back in the day, they would really torture women who were suffering from breast cancer. They would give them radical mastectomies. They didn't have the lumpectomies and all that stuff. Well, this poor woman went through that. And the way it was, we don't know what's going to happen. So either you're going to perhaps die, or we will remove your breast, we will remove your lymph nodes, and this is going to be your life. Hello. And at least you lived. So no one would be happy with that circumstance. And sure enough, she did. She lost her breast, she lost her lymph nodes. And when she went to the doctor, this was a woman that was a positive attitude like I've never known another person to have. And when she went to the doctor just sat there and said, read all the symptoms and what she has to do. And she just took note of it. And she was very nice, as she always was, and was smiling. And he said, "It's really okay. You can cry." And she looked at him and she said, "I have cried. I have cried enough. And now what I want to do is I want to get on with this." And this was a woman that had a vision. She was a religious person and she had a belief. So her belief was, this is my road, this is where I'm meant to be. And she wasn't fighting it. Oh, she was tortured by everything, no question. But what we're talking about is she always maintained her smile. She always moved forward. She laughed like it was nobody's business. She always found the funny. And that's the thing when we're talking about seeing the positive, moving your life forward. We have so many studies of people who have gone through cancer, and the positive people, not just cancer, but all kinds of debilitating diseases, their attitude helped them live longer than the other person that was worrying and upset about every little detail. It's like, if you have that vision, if you feel that this is what I want to do, and even if I have a shorter life, I want to live it to the fullest. That's the attitude. And that's that happiness, that laughter bubble will push you forward.
Yeah,
Uh,
no doubt. And it's been proven over and over again. In a lot of veterans hospitals,
yeah.
there's a definite correlation between one's attitude and one's success rate.
Yeah.
And the ones who gave up and the ones who don't care and the ones who believe it's only going to get worse are the ones who end up fulfilling that belief. And your body and your mind is so intricate and so connected in so many ways that you never know what a conscious thought is to a subconscious thought to a direction, right? How does your leg know to move? when you want to walk. It does, you don't have to think too much about it. It's just instinct in a sense. And I think life is always easier when you see the best in someone instead of the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Take the best of a situation, and if nothing else, you can say I'm alive, right? You can start from there and then say, well, I have a place to sleep tonight. Well, that's cool. I got a great family. And pretty soon, what you really were worried about was a very small piece of your overall puzzle. But because some people are perfectionists or some people are demanding of themselves in ways that they don't allow themselves a little bit more breathing room. They don't decide to leave earlier than they might have. There's always a saying that it's better to leave somebody wanting more than wishing they had less of you, right? And that's why, and I know everybody here has had company that just didn't know the time or care, and people are yawning and people are trying to stay up without sounding unhosty. But that's the beauty of being happy, is knowing you have so much more to learn, right? So much more to grow to and from. So, I'm glad that Beverly figured out her last segment. But that's technology. Hi, Beverly. I
Oh,
hope you're.
it just cut right off. Okay, now that was Restream that did it. It just completely cut off.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Yeah, without me touching any mice or anything. It was like, whoa. Yeah,
Oh,
just
I
that
didn't know.
was
I
one
thought
of
I thought maybe you already knew what was about to come and you switched in and out just to do it.
nope.
Uh, but I'm going to experiment a little with StreamYard to see if that might help. Not today, but I've got a subscription because anytime you're connecting, all it takes is something that isn't very connectable to create that, whatever it is. Let me just share what Kelly has to say. Today's word is perfect for my dad's heavenly birthday. Well, happy birthday, Kelly's dad.
Yes,
He
Kelly.
he brought happiness to so many, and I know you honor him so much when you talk about him,
Hmm.
and what a wonderful individual he was. And I think that just proves the ability to transfer happiness even when you're not there anymore, because of the
Yeah.
happiness that you invested and provided for those around. And everybody's grateful for that one relative or friend who stepped out of the crowd and became your advocate when you didn't think anybody would, when gave you a kind word when you expected the opposite. And that's what sets those people apart, whether they're family or friends. And that's what uh, separates people on LinkedIn, is
Hmm.
really how good of a friend are you? And a connection should be a friend. And if you don't want to be a friend to someone or have a friend to you, don't connect, right? Because if you know right at the beginning, it's not going to make you or them happy. And it's the same thing in relationships. When you get in relationships that don't serve you anymore, that you're
Hmm.
just going through the motions because it's easier to show up than to say goodbye, or you're hoping someone else will say goodbye to you or forget about you. I
That's
mean,
a good one.
right? All you're doing is extending an unsatisfying relationship, and then you're wondering, how come I don't have time to build more improved relationships? And how do I not have the capacity, like Beverly had mentioned, to create happiness from within? Right? Do I need somebody or something else to be happy all the time?
Yeah.
Am I so unhappy with spending time with myself? And then
Yeah.
that's the reason that somebody like Beverly, a therapist and a coach and a person that could help people work through things, is a valuable opportunity. because if someone has been there or has helped people go from there to somewhere better, and that's why I'm always talking about best practices.
Yeah.
Learn what you're doing and get better at it, because then it gets easier at it.
Yeah,
You know,
I have to share this. I have
Please.
to jump in. I feel terrible, but I have to do this. Um, when you were talking about happy, and we've been programmed by our miserable lives, and I mean that, okay? Not everybody comes from a happy home. Not everybody comes from even a good home. Some people come from really bad stuff. And um, I had a client that wanted to speak to me, and I have dealt as a therapist in some pretty dark places, and I'm doing coaching, and she wanted coaching. And Dawn, she was thrown out of her house at 18 when she was pregnant. However, before she was pregnant, she was seriously abused by her father, who died when she was 16. And we can go on and on. And through her life, I mean, she drug addict, you name it, okay? Jail. Through her life, somehow, now this is a woman in her late 50s, through her life, she found this really nice man. She got married, life is good, she has adult children, etc. But she's living still in this really dark place. And she's constantly feeling less than others and horrible, horrible, horrible. And her mother now, who has dementia, and we won't even go into that business, but the bottom line is she always feels she has to prove things to her mother, to the world, that she is not who she was. And there was nothing wrong with what she was. It just happened, right? So what she immediately I said to myself, she's been through so much therapy. Now she wants coaching. If you're going to do a group, you know, someone like this cannot be in a group. There's too much stuff, right? Like, no. And so I said to her, she says, no, but I really, really, I'm miserable. I'm not happy every single day. And my kids keep telling me what's wrong with you. And I'm getting panic attacks and we're going through all this. And the more she's telling me, the more I say, no. And then she said, Beverly, can I work with you privately? And I said to myself, okay, yes. Now, but that's a huge commitment, okay? Both financially and on her behalf too. She has to be committed to the stuff that we do. But I make it easy in coaching. And I said to myself, how am I going to do that? So what I did was I didn't go into the dark places. She's been there. She lives there. She lives there daily. Um, but I gave her a couple of techniques. And if you're talking about inner child work, if anyone's been to therapy, it's like, oh no, I don't want to go there, right? So, but I said, no, don't worry about that, because what we're doing is we're going to move you forward. And what happened is within 2 sessions, Dawn, now I said to myself, hey, I know I'm good, but hey, that's seriously. And I said to her, I do not believe this, right? When in coaching, when you're working with me personally, what I do is I'll pick up the phone and check up. I'll give you, different templates and things to work yourself. Well, I have to tell you, when she picked up the phone, thought I had the wrong number. Okay, it was hello. And it was like, what? And then what happened within a very short time, her husband, who says, this is remarkable. She's waking up every day happy. Okay, because where I went was what I do with my programs, which is we get rid of all those limiting beliefs, all that stuff. And then that's the stuff that makes us unhappy. That's the stuff that can't get us moving forward. We can take courses, we can do stuff. But if innately you feel like you're a low life and you don't deserve to have it, and you don't deserve to have this family, and you don't deserve to, have this husband and this life that you live today, you will not be happy. And when she went from, hey, that little girl in me is not what my parents created. I mean, oh, I was a happy kid before I was pretty well destroyed. And when she starts doing different exercises and whatever, what was going on was, this is not who I am. And when you are who you are authentically, and I hope I'm coming across as that because I'm a dingbat, okay? So the bottom line is, but I'm happy. So the bottom line is, you have to be who you are. And who you are keeps you authentic. And this is what I think we were talking with Kelly, last week. Authenticity, doing what you do, not going out after the sale, not creating, but just doing. Happiness is being who you are. And this woman today, sure, life is not a bowl of cherries, but what happens is, you don't have to be that horrible person. She's also a mother and a grandmother and a wife, and she has a wonderful life, and she deserves, and she feels now that she deserves to be happy. That's what I want to impart everybody with. Happiness is an inside job. You have to feel that you're good enough to deserve it, and then just enjoy it. And hey, there's my TED Talk for the morning.
No, I think it'd be great, and it's so nice to start out without hearing you, because when we hear you, it's even more exciting. So it might even be a strategy. I wouldn't suggest, but it does work in that fashion. But yeah, I totally agree with you, because if everybody, let's say, starts with a clean slate, and from there, the world, the universe, and the people around you start filling it up with and for you, right, in your formative years. And based on that influence, naturally, by definition, it's going to impact your thoughts and behavior. But again, if you can turn the radio dial to something that's supportive music, that is
Yes,
with someone who sees things you forgot you had, or makes you aware of certain special elements, and also not having to take full responsibility for everything that happened to you. So there's some people who don't take any responsibility or accountability, and there's some people who overdo it and take their load plus everybody else's, and then give the other person credit for not being responsible. And then they assume that, and then they also assume that temporary elements don't have to be permanent elements.
exactly.
Right? Everything that happened to you got you to the now that you're in. It doesn't
Yes,
have to be taken forward.
yes,
Right?
yes,
I mean, when
yes.
you take luggage to the airport, it has to fit into the car,
A
right?
hundred,
If you're packing too much, it's a weight to carry it, to find space for it, and it crowds out the opportunities ahead of you.
yeah,
Sometimes you just quit while you're ahead, or even quit when you're behind and start fresh.
that's
You know,
right. That's
try
right.
to make the future make up for the past. The future should stand alone, and the past should be alone at a
Yes,
certain point, right? It's in
yes,
your rearview mirror, and going
yes.
back isn't going to change it. It's just going to revisit it
No,
and bring back feelings that were maybe dissipating. So,
no, for
you got
sure.
to be your own best friend, like Beverly says. It's an inside job, and
Totally.
the other thing is, you see people who are happy around you. You walk down
Mhm,
the street and you see people laughing and slapping each other on the back, or being at dinner and having a ball. And
mhm.
you wonder, why am I not in that group of people? What's wrong with me? How come I can't feel that way? But
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
that says is, that's where you are. Doesn't
yeah,
mean that's where you got to stay. And then, if you want to be happy, get around happy people,
yeah.
because they'll make you
That's
happy, because that's what they're into. They
yeah,
don't just, they want to maintain a happiness. They just don't want to achieve it or arrive, because then you got to do it more and more for it to happen. So let me get really back to all these interesting people.
Can I answer one, which is,
Sure.
yeah, it's Maria's. Maria, yeah, you said, how is that achieved in 2 sessions? That's awesome. Okay. Um, it was, well, it was actually three, but the coaching program was 3 months. It is 3 months. Okay. But in 3 sessions, well, first of all, it was the first, the second, and then the third, there's a connection. The connection is not just with me, the connection is with yourself. Okay. And when you see that it makes sense for you, it's like you flipped a switch. Okay. Now, once she saw, which was the 3 sessions, that I am, and there were little exercises that she did do to keep up that buoyant kind of feeling. And then what happened though is, believe it or not, and she did send me an email, her husband, after like he saw it right away, but at the third session, he was wondering when the bubble is going to pop. I mean, he married a woman that was like miserable, and then all of a sudden she becomes happy. So what the heck is happening here, right? So he was saying, I don't know exactly what he was saying. She sent me an email just saying, I hate him. I can't believe that he's just dragging me down, and and he doesn't believe it. And so I said, don't worry about it. Nobody can drag you down. The same thing, like I said, happiness is an inside job. I said, you are responsible for your own happiness. He's entitled not to trust that. Why would he? Like, who is this person, right? Are you on some kind of happy pill? No, it doesn't work like that, right? So, what other people say doesn't matter. And what she did after the email, she'd written me another email. She said, oh, you are the guru. She says, you predicted it. He apologized when I explained what was going on. So don't look at, I think somebody also wrote, we're so influenced by our outside environment. Okay. That is so true. Other people can bring you down, but you don't have to go down. That's the inside job. Okay. So you have to be who you are, be authentic, not where, as I was saying, other people, so are telling you. So did it take 2 sessions? Yes, it took 3 sessions. It was just until she started to say, hey, I'm not that person that my mother and my family and my aunts and everyone else made me out to be. I am who I am, and I've created who I am. And I believe we all have to be at that place.
Yeah, I think
So
that's perfect because I think once you reach that realization or breakthrough, it's easier to build on that now, right? Because it's almost like some people build a house by raising the house before it instead of working with it, right? I mean, it's either too
exactly.
small or it's dated. And
Yeah.
sometimes you just got to clear what doesn't work and give room and resources to what your new decision towards living and happiness is. Debbie comes back with another bumper sticker. When all else fails, lower your expectations. Easier to be happy when your expectations are simple and low. And I did practice that. And one week, just consciously decide how early in the day I be as happy as I can. Right? Could I get there by 10 or 11 and make an attitude a time destination? Right? Or should I exercise? Should I have something special that I like to eat? Should I listen to some music? Should I do all of the above? And then how much better are you for taking that time out, for building that recipe for happiness, and then enjoying the meal the rest of the day? And it is wherever you want it to be and however you want it, to happen. Maria says, happiness is complex and subjective emotional state influenced by all these factors. For sure. And that's why it's easier to keep it simple. Because when you start to analyze little bits of it, it lends itself to more little bits of it. And pretty
Right.
soon you're on a mission or a mystery journey that wherever you're looking, you're not going to find what you're looking for. I worked in Tower 2 just before relocating to the Netherlands. No
Yeah.
words.
Yeah.
And if anything, what that horrible tragedy taught everybody is how fragile and sensitive life is. That how could you ever plan for that to happen? How would you ever think it could happen? And you don't. And that's what people should realize is there should be a sense of urgency and a sense of happiness urgency, right? And
Oh, yeah.
especially if you paid your dues, and especially
Oh,
if
yeah.
it's more difficult, is it's not you deserve it more, but you've experienced it less, which makes it scarce. And anytime you get a dessert once a year, versus every night, it changes your appreciation, and that's where the gratitude comes in. Is that saying, a boy looked at his shoes and felt like he needed new ones until he looked across and saw that the next boy didn't have any feet,
Yes. Right.
right? And then you feel like, what was I thinking?
That's
Elizabeth
right.
comes back with most people are easily influenced by it. You have no choice. You can't escape it except consciously to get off in a group like this, to get alone in a room with a good book,
Yeah.
or call a friend. There's so many friends people have, so many quality relatives. But in most cases, it's not that exciting. It's kind of boring. Call an elderly relative up, you know, and some people dread it as if it's a chore. But when they finally do it, they never regret it.
Yeah.
I talked to a
It,
cousin just the other day, and we talk about every few months, and we kind of grew up together. But leaving Detroit like 45 years ago, you kind of lose a little touch with the family. But when you connect with somebody from the past, and it could be somebody from high school, it could be anybody, you feel younger for being with that person who you were with at a younger stage. You feel more part of a family when you're
mhm.
talking or with family. So a lot of times you can expose yourself to things that can stimulate happiness. And
Mhm.
or comedians. I remember growing up, being around a record player was a big deal, and listening to people tell jokes or sing songs, that was, with some coffee, that was, when the family used to get together. And I think that's another thing in the past is families used to be together and get together all the time. Everybody's birthday, Sundays, card games, whatever it was, football games, and now everybody has gotten isolated, insulated because of COVID, because of internet, where you don't have
Mhm.
to do anything, it can all come to you. And I
Mhm.
think that's also cut us off as well as connected us, right? All these time-saving devices are sucking up all the time we ever had for ourselves and the people around you. And I think that's why you even have to be more vigilant, because it's not only you, it's the other person is now distracted by their word games or their TikTok or
Yeah.
whatever they end up investing time in. So it's a responsibility. It's work to be happy. How was that achieved? Okay, Debbie comes back. Maria, and the chase is what is debilitating. Slow down, right? You move too fast. That was a Simon and Garfunkel song. So there
Right.
was work done in between the sessions. Petra's here. Thank you for being here. Can you see me? Well, I just saw you. So we all these shows are incredible,
That's right.
only because we never know what we're going to say, how we're going to say it,
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah.
going to distill. And at the end
Yeah.
of the day, we all now, I believe, are a little happier because we've discussed happy, and maybe a little bit more conscious of what we might want to do to stay happy or get happier, which is look at our relationships, look at
Hmm.
our time, look at our feelings towards certain people and situations. And I found one of the keys to success is definitely working it hard at disassociation as association. I mean, I need more room, right? If something comes up, where am I going to find it? Right? It's just like if you have a
Right.
limited refrigerator, right? If you want to stuff something in, but you don't want to keep stuffing because then you'll never know what's there, right? Right? So you want to have it as organized and as attractive, but also being able to use it to its best element. So I think, that's so important, reevaluating, readjusting, and constantly recalibrating to the point where you can dial in happiness. Well, we hit an hour. Thank you so much. Uh, Natalie's here. Great to see you, Natalie.
Hey,
Wanted to
Natalie.
recognize you. I was driving, but listening to the whole show and really enjoyed the entire conversation. Our environment is everything, and we have the choice to create that environment so
That's
it
right.
works best for us, for our inner self. So true. I'm so glad you were able to pick up all these wonderful insights while driving. Uh, Beverly, it's always an honor and pleasure to have you. I know I just picked the subject or the word just last night, but I know whatever we come up with is always a place we work from,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
bring everybody around. So, what's your final thoughts today on happy and everything?
Okay. Well, there's lots because there are so many things you said. So absolutely, there's lots. But I think it was Maria that mentioned genetics. Okay, this is important too. We're talking about people that really don't have serious problems. Okay, and we're all wired differently. And some people go into highs and lows. And we have to also understand that there is medical intervention too, should you need it. Okay. And that is to lift up that serotonin, should you need it. And not everybody has to go into this deep, dark hole of misery. So I think we have to respect that everybody's brains are wired differently, but we have to look at ourselves because, of course, we're the most important people in the room, right? And so we have to look at ourselves and say, what do we need? And we all need to be happy. So, what's working for us? Is it our boss? Is it our job? Is it our relationship? Is it our family? What's working and what is not working? Certain friendships, as you said, Don. You know, maybe these are really good people. You knew them from way back when, and they're still good people, but maybe you've grown and you don't have all the time in the world for everybody. So you have to know with what do you need? What makes you happy? What will make you fulfilled? And that, like that woman was on top of her game in New York City, said, I'm up there, but it doesn't make me happy. I want to come down. And so you don't have time. So fill that time with anything that makes you happy. Invest in yourself. Do things, activities with people and, with your job, with everything. It's just so not worth it at the end of the day if you're not happy. And it's not a happy pill. It comes from within.
Well, those
So
are beautiful pearls of wisdom, as always, Beverly. And,
mhm.
one thing that comes to mind before we close is the whole phenomena that took place a few years ago of laughter yoga.
Oh,
Right? And
we didn't even touch that.
Anne's been a yoga instructor for like 35 years. And they actually doing a class right now by Zoom. And, I got, I wanted to see what it was, and it met at a really cool park here in Denver. And everybody would create a scenario that was funny, right? And then everybody would do their best to laugh as hard as they could. And then it was contagious. And, that's all cool. But when medical uh, scientists, I guess, were able to measure people's levels, right? Whether it's blood pressure or blood composition, they found that, let's say, manipulated laughter did the same as genuine laughter.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
Amazing.
you can not trick yourself, but move yourself into getting those wonderful chemicals, endorphins, serotonin, right? That you might not have had. And maybe that's what cured that person of watching 3 Days of Lucy, is they laughed enough that they overstimulated all these chemicals that went in and fixed things that might have been disconnected. But, to what extent that applies to other people, I know it can hurt. And whenever you
Standard.
have a prescription that says laugh more, have more fun, no one can ever come back and say I had a bad side effect.
No.
Right? They may not have said it moved me tremendously, but again, it's the little things done wrong over time that got you where you are. And now it's the little things done right over time that can get you to where you want to be. And you now have a comparison. And
Mhm.
everybody here has been happy at one time or many times in their life. So it shows you can do it. You can
Yes.
experience it. You're capable. How many
Yes. Yes.
opportunities are you putting yourself in front of that will allow that to happen more frequently and easier? So, with that said, thank you all very much. I'll just share with you tomorrow we have two brand new people, international speakers actually. Lorraine Duncan, who does some amazing work on ministries. She goes to places around the world and subsidizes that or supports it by her wonderful speaking and writing, and Christopher Salem, who is another national recognized speaker and actually a good friend of Bob Berg, who's going to be here next week. So if you can make it, I think it's a great show. And naturally, we got great
Okay.
shows throughout the week. So thank you very much, Beverly. I'm so glad everything turned out so well on a
Yes.
high note. And thank you, audience. Harvey's going to
Yes.
be on
Thank
in a
you.
few minutes, and Kelly will be on in about an hour later. So see you tomorrow if you can. Thank you so
Yes.
much.